Okay, so I guess this just showed up. Yeah, for those who are unaware, Ben Affleck apparently teased an image of Deathstroke in an upcoming DC film. Now, most people have assumed that maybe Deathstroke will be in the Justice League film, or he will be in the solo Batman film. Yeah, I kind of figured Deathstroke was going to make his big movie appearance sometime in these films because of due the popularity and he is what Deadpool is he's what Deadpool is based off of, and it kind of made sense that of course Deathstroke the Terminator would finally make his movie debut eventually. Now, as far as I know, for the articles I read, I don't know who's in the Deathstroke helmet. I really don't know who is playing Deathstroke. I have no clue as to who. If anyone does have any inkling, or who is the actor behind the helmet, please let me know. The costume actually doesn't look half bad, honestly. The costume doesn't look that bad. It does look like a movie Deathstroke. It actually looks something similar to this costume, really. Which I'm fine with. I was kind of expecting it to be a full-on helmet rather than a mask. Very much like how Manu Bennett's Deathstroke costume in Arrow, which I still think Arrow Season 2 was still amazing. It was the last good season of Arrow. Oh my god. Anyway, so let's talk about this. Now, let's talk about both possibilities if he's in the Justice League film or the solo Batman film. Now, first and foremost, with this, you have to, with Justice League, would that mean he's serving Steppenwolf? Because as we do know, Steppenwolf will be the main villain instead of Darkseid as for Justice League, because Steppenwolf is, I guess, he's going to be heralding in Darkseid's army. So yeah, it could be, Steppenwolf will be the big villain, and yeah. Now you may be thinking, well, where does Deathstroke tie into this? My thing is that maybe Slade Wilson is working with Steppenwolf. Maybe he's maybe it'll be kind of like when in the Justice League, the Teen Titans X-Men crossover several years back, where Deathstroke worked for Darkseid in order to destroy. He worked with Darkseid to build this machine that would resurrect the Dark Phoenix. Now, yeah, I know it's a crossover, but yeah, he has worked for the New Gods of Apocalypse before, so it wouldn't be too far out of sight for having him to be working. Now, as long as you don't make him like something stupid, like making him like, oh, I'm a fanatic for Darkseid and all that. Please don't do that. Have it just be as it is. He's a mercenary looking to get paid. And who better to get paid from than a new god, more or less? Just have that guy, working for that guy. But yeah, the thing is, like, how much of the film is he going to be in? Don't get me wrong, I think it's cool that Deathstroke has been, in here. But yeah, after Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, while it was fun, it was still a flawed film. So, yeah, the DC films have yet to wow me yet. So, really, having Deathstroke in here just seems like fan baiting. But then again, you could say that about all superhero films. Anyway, so with Deathstroke, I'm kind of hoping on the latter, that it's actually for the solo Batman film, which has been, Ben Affleck's been working on. I'd actually be more okay with that, and maybe not have Deathstroke as the main villain. I'm kind of hoping if they ever do a Titans, because I've always seen it that Slade has always been Dick Grayson's villain. That's always, he's always been Nightwing's villain, even though, yeah, he's crossed paths with, Batman a lot of times. That doesn't, in my mind, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have seen this too, is that he's more an enemy to Dick Grayson than he is to Bruce Wayne. That's how I've always kind of seen it between the Deathstroke and a rivalry between Slade and Dick, really. But I wouldn't mind if he was in the Batman film, because yeah, he's a he's a force of nature, and it is a DC universe, so it would make sense to have a hitman go after Batman. So that's what I'm kind of hoping that, and it'll probably be a better written film, assuming Warner Brothers doesn't chop it all to fucking pieces. That is kind of the big hope for right now, and I'm also hoping that Deathstroke's not the only villain if it is in the solo Batman movie. If could it be, if it is just the solo Batman film, is it, hopefully he won't be the only villain in there. Because I know there's been a lot of talk of, Arkham Asylum, which is something I've wanted in a Batman film. Yeah, and you could say, well, what about Zilla? We've had, Arkham Asylum in a lot of Batman films. Yeah, but they've never been the main focus. Even in Batman Begins, which had a lot of time in Arkham, Arkham Asylum was never a big thing in the DC, in the Batman films. It was never a big focal point, even though Arkham Asylum is where all the Batman villains are. I've always wanted to see a Batman film centered around Arkham Asylum. Something like something like A Serious House on a Serious Earth. With Batman going into Arkham Asylum to fight all of his enemies. That way, you can have multiple Batman villains. But in here, I would love to see Deathstroke as like a constant force if we go the gang route once again, like he's been hired by Black Mask or to work for him or something of that nature. But again, assuming again to Justice League, I could see him work. I just hope he's he's a focal point of the movie. Like I just want him to not be like this one and done villain, because this is Slade Wilson, guys. This is a guy who can go toe to toe with the entire Justice League and and take them down and take a good majority of them down. So that's kind of that's really what I'm, worried. That's the big thing I'm worried about, is that Deathstroke's just here for, oh look, it's Deathstroke. Everybody loves Deathstroke. Don't you love Deathstroke? That means you love us, right? We're DC. We're trying our fucking hardest. That's kind of what I'm afraid. That's really what I'm more afraid of than anything else, is that, I'm worried that they're just, it'll just be like a 10-minute, like a 5-minute scene, or even less than that, of Deathstroke fighting Batman, and then along comes another member of the Justice League, and probably, knowing this universe, comes up behind him and kills him, and that's the end of Deathstroke. And yeah, I would love to see a Deathstroke film. That would be a lot. That would be pretty cool. But I'm just kind of worried if it's the Justice League film that he'll be in there for like just Batman's scene and then get killed off by Batman or somebody else, and that'll be the end. That'll be the only time we get Deathstroke, really. That's kind of all I really wanted to say about Deathstroke. Is it cool that it looks like we're finally getting Deathstroke on the big screen? Yeah, but at the same time, I'm not really holding my breath for anything uber spectacular. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm driving at here. Anyway, so you guys tell me, what do you guys think of Deathstroke apparently being in the DC films? Do you think he'll be in Justice League? Do you think he'll be in Ben Affleck's solo Batman film? And how much of a role do you want him to play in? And do you want to see him get his own film? If so, who would you want to have in it? Also, does anyone know if we have a confirmation on who the actor for Slade Wilson is? I'm curious. I'm really curious. Anyway, so once again, just comment below, let me know what you guys think of all this, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.